Okay, we're back at the old studio. We're chilling. We're killing bars. Okay, anyway, so I wanted to talk about cold showers. Why I don't think cold showers will help a lot of people who think that they will. So in general, we have this kind of productivity culture on the internet. We have this in the whole self-improvement genre. It's always about getting work done, hustling, grinding, doing all of these. And when you're not hustling and grinding, you have to do all of these um, activities that will delay gratification and all that, which is great. I absolutely think we should all do a lot of non-instantly gratifying activities. But there's one thing that I've learned is that not all activities are equal. There's this concept called the 80-20 rule, and I'm sure you must have heard of it. I've talked a lot about it because I try and base my entire life around the 80-20 rule, which basically says that 20% of the effort will give you 80% of the results, and that the remaining 80% of the effort will give you the 20% of the results. Now, if you want to get simply decent at something, right? You want to get good at something, but you don't want to be the best in the world at it or the best in your community at it, then you should just do the fundamental 20% of the effort, right? Because every activity, every skill has a foundation to it. As long as you cover that foundation, you will have covered the basics and you will have gotten 80% of the rewards from 20% of the result of the effort. And your job then becomes to kind of build upon that, and that is the optional part, because that it has diminishing returns. You get less and less reward from the more effort that you do. And so what a lot of us tend to fall into, once we start to find an activity that we really enjoy, we try and specialize in it, we try and get really good at it, we try and become the best in the world at it, right? And I think in certain cases, in a lot of cases, you absolutely have to do that if you want to excel at something. If you want to excel at something, and absolutely go 100% in on it. But if you're someone who's like me and someone who's more of a generalist, someone who has a little bit of interest in everything, you don't really have the time and the resources to commit to all of these other things that might not be your fundamental low effort, high reward sort of actions. And when it comes to what I'm trying to get to here is the concept of taking things like cold showers, things like what all do productivity experts tell you about? They're like, you have to journal. I think journaling is good, but I feel like things like cold showers, journaling, having a very specific morning routine, taking like these supplements, taking supplements for certain vitamins, or things like buying creatine. Creatine is such a big one in this. All of these things are, they will provide a boost, but a lot of people get caught up in these things because they seem like very easy things to do, right? You start spending 5 minutes a day just taking cold showers, right? And to people, that seems like a very easy fix. You start taking creatine to get a lot of muscle, to blow your strength up. It seems like a good idea. You start journaling. I think journaling is I still think that is one of the fundamentals in some sense. But there's a lot of these things, like small things, like getting that extra 20 grams of protein, and a lot of things. And I feel like what we get caught up in when it comes to productivity and the whole self-improvement genre, we get caught up in a lot of trivial stuff. We don't really try and sit down and talk about the fundamentals that we really need to cover. We just kind of avoid them because they've already been said so many times. But that's the thing. The things that have been said so many times are often the things that we miss out on because they're not as sexy, they're not as fun, they're not as cool. It's not as fun to say that, yeah, dude, I meditate like once a day, than to say that, oh yeah, dude, I'm taking creatine for those extra chest gains, you know. And I've just noticed that a lot of this comes from how just bored we are with the fundamentals. From my experience, the handful of things that I've started to do ever since I was, fat and depressed, been working out, been running, doing a decent amount of cardio, meditating, being more social, trying to put myself in difficult situations. These things gave me 80% of the rewards as opposed to having these little optimizations. Like that motherfucker, bro. I hate this guy so much. I'm being really harsh here. I'm sorry, I take it back. But I do not like the type of content that someone like Matt Diabella makes, right? And I shit on him a lot every time I talk because this is someone who's things like using Notion, right? That app, it makes you, it's not actual productivity, it's just mental masturbation. You're just kind of jerking off to the idea that, oh wow, dude, I've made such a cool framework for getting stuff done. But again, it goes back to the 80-20 rule. A lot of people get caught up in making these tiny optimizations when they haven't cleared the fundamentals in the first place. And you can only really optimize once you have the fundamentals laid out. It's like you're trying to tweak a car engine, but the chassis of the car is doesn't even exist. It's just an engine that you're trying to modify. It's just, I don't know how cars work, man. It's just an engine that's sitting there and you're trying to modify it. You're like messing around the nuts and bolts and all of that. But there is no car, it's just an engine. That's what using shit like Notion is. If you aren't waking up early, you aren't sleeping early, if you aren't doing the fundamentals of exercise and having a good diet, if you aren't covering these basics, things like Notion, things like cold showers, they will not help you. And I'm someone who's started using Notion. I'm someone who started taking cold showers, but that's only because over the last 6 or 7 months, I've actually been able to sit down and cover my fundamentals for the most part. There's still part of the fundamentals that I miss out on. Like maybe I'll go to bed an hour late. Like last night, I went to bed 1.5 hours later than I was supposed to, and I felt frustrated because sleep is sleep is probably the biggest thing you can immediately change. And even in my coaching calls, that's the first thing that I will always tell people. Like I will ask people, what is your sleep like? Even after I've heard all of their problems, I've heard that they have these mental health issues, I've heard that they're struggling with social situations in this sense. It always comes down to sleep, because if you don't fix your sleep, then I can't tell you what exercises to do in the gym. I can't tell you what fucking pickup line to use. I'm not an advocate of pickup lines, by the way. I can't tell you what to do if you don't have the fundamentals in place. And I know a lot of people who do like these little optimizations, and someone who's trying to change their life, right? Someone who's trying to get into self-improvement, which I don't like the word self-improvement, because it suggests that there is a niche of people who are doing this very specific thing. It's like people talk about self-improvement like it's some kind of genre of movies. It's like, yeah, I'm into Star Wars, yeah, I'm into self-improvement. No, everyone goes through, not everyone is a Star Wars fan, but everyone goes, or at least thinks about going through some phase of self-improvement in their lives. But yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah. Man, I always lose my train of thought in these moments. It was easier when I had like 3 subscribers, but now there's like 25, 26, 27 people, and I had worried about these moments where I'm talking about something and I keep talking about it, and then I go on to like a tangent, and then I hit like a roadblock and I don't know where I came from, right? And I get anxious in these moments because it's like now there's like an actual liability. Now I'm looking at my YouTube creator studio statistics and I'm like, oh my god, only 3 minutes of watch time. I'm terrified. You know, it's one of those things. So I think I was trying to talk about how I know a lot of people who get into like this whole self-improvement genre. People who have like pretty bad lives and they want to create a change. They get into this whole genre and they find this very appealing, this very sexy idea of that you can just go and take cold showers, you can just go and start taking creatine, you can just start doing these like very simple things. But at the end of the day, like once once they've been once their motivation ends after a week or so and they see no results, they're like, well, this isn't shit. I'm gonna go back to my fucking black pill community. I'm gonna go back to shitting on women. I'm gonna go back to shitting on gym culture. I'm gonna go back to shitting on anyone who's trying to make a change in their lives, because the main difference between mental masturbation and genuine knowledge on genuine information that will change your life, things like spirituality, things like exercise, things that cover the fundamentals of the mind and body. The main difference is that the people who get the shit done focus on the fundamentals. And so the difference between the person who actually gets shit done is actually changing their lives is that they have the fundamentals covered. I've seen a lot of young guys start listening to people like Ali Abdal, Matt Diavella, all of these like really high profile productivity YouTubers who talk about small optimizations, but they never ever come across someone who really talks about the fundamentals, like changing your life, right? Someone like Hamza, he started talking so much about the basics, right? And when he came into the scene, everyone saw it, everyone was like, it blew their mind, right? Because no one was really talking about the boring fundamentals. Everyone was kind of just, just making the small optimizations. But yeah, I think I'm sounding like a broken record now. I don't have much to say. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.